Hi, class. My name is Hannah, and today I'm going to be talking about my research for my term paper, what I chose to do. What I chose to do my research paper on is the use of mycorrhizae in commercial nurseries. Um, Mycorrhizae is a fungus which grows in association with the roots of a plant and has a symbiotic or mildly pathogenic relationship with its plants. I'm going to be covering what sparked my interest and kind of why I chose to write about this, some interesting facts about fungus and mycorrhizae, and then the use of mycorrhizae in commercial nurseries, of course, and then ways we can implement fungi and mycorrhizae into our everyday lives, more of like our gardens, but also our everyday lives. We're going to start by taking it back a few weeks ago when we listened to Radio Lab's podcast. If you guys remember, it was titled From Tree to Shining Tree. And the podcast featured a woman named Suzanne, and it was mainly her talking about her experience of how she kind of found fungus and how it sparked her interest in doing more research into it. So she was out one day with her dog in the backyard when she noticed a hole that her dog had started digging into. And of course, out of curiosity, she went over to take a look at it herself. And what she found was little spurts of fungus growing underground with no use of sunlight. And the fungi was all intertwined with each other and was of many different shapes and sizes. So our basis of kind of how you grow a plant is you need sunlight, you need water, and you need nutrients. So how interesting that there's this plant or this fungus growing underground with no sunlight. So she decided to do a little bit more research on it, and some interesting things she found that helped spark my interest in fungi was that in her research she found that they are very ancient and they are very close to animals in DNA. And all the trees that were of different species were sharing their food underground, which was not normal for trees that grow above ground. So the trees were sharing their food and had a whole hub or network in which the oldest trees are connected to the youngest or mid-age or many other trees that would be miles away from them. And then this was all because of fungus. The fungus and the trees can actually chemically communicate. So like we talk and use our words to communicate, the fungus and the plants around it are chemically communicating. And this helps them fulfill any needs that they have, basically to create a symbiotic relationship with that other plant. And then the fungi and the trees benefit from each other. So the fungi gives the trees minerals and the trees give the fungi sugar to build themselves up. Another interesting thing that was just like, wow, is that fungi can mine and travel through rocks as well as growing inside insects in order to get their nitrogen. So one main thing is that fungi do need nitrogen in order to sustain and be living and do what they have to do as their part as fungi. So the fungi sends chemicals to the trees and let it know it's in its presence, and the tree knows to loosen its roots. So that's crazy. And then the tree also communicates with other trees around it and let them know if there's a problem going on. So the fungi is very important for the tree health. Helps the tree get its nutrients and nitrogen in order for it to stand up straight and maintain its health. So the fungi is actually one of the reasons why trees are standing up straight. And the fungi continues to help these trees in its surrounding areas. And it's just so amazing how fungi can have that chemical communication between itself and other plants in order for the tree to be able to receive the things it needs, as well as the fungi receiving the things that it needs. So that was super interesting, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in fungi, because the fact that it has this whole underground hub, this whole underground network where the fungi and the roots of plants are all communicating with each other, and just creating this really balanced ecosystem. And that balanced ecosystem is something we really need for the health of our planet. So now let's go into kind of the use of mycorrhizae in commercial nurseries. So there was a study done, and it was started off with kind of how many people are using mycorrhizae in their nurseries. They found that 82% of nurseries use mycorrhizae, so it's obviously very beneficial. And these commercial nurseries help with the restoration of plants, which is why the use of mycorrhizae is so frequent in these nurseries, because it is extremely beneficial to plants. Nurseries admit that after incorporating the use of mycorrhizae into their horticulture, they've seen exponential benefits. Their plants look brighter, healthier, and grow at much faster rates. In these nurseries, the mycorrhizae is helping with many things, not only just the growth of the plant, but things like phosphorus, which attribute to the growth of a tree or a plant or any agriculture, as well as like zinc, iron, copper. It's all helping to provide for these plants in these commercial nurseries. So yeah, that is kind of the basis of what these nurseries are using the mycorrhizae for. And this was kind of a breakthrough for the commercial nursery community, because they were using something called fungicide, which is kind of like an artificial fungus that can be added to plants, which actually they found out may result in the decrease of growth because it can hinder photosynthesis, meaning the use of natural fungi like mycorrhizae will improve the ecosystem naturally. In horticulture and in artificial growing media, the presence of mycorrhizae may be absent since it typically grows naturally in a natural environment. This is why adding mycorrhizae through inoculation and in these nurseries is extremely beneficial, in order to have that balanced ecosystem where different species work together to create that sustainable habitat of connectedness amongst primary producers and its predators. So now let's kind of go into ways that we can help with this issue. Obviously, one of our big issues here on our planet is climate change and global warming, things like that. And mycorrhizae is actually one of the things that will truly help with climate change and in global warming. So the fungi will actually take out the carbon into the air and absorb it. And carbon, of course, when it goes into the air, we know that it heats up the earth, which is why we're having problems with like sea level rising and stuff like that. And mycorrhizae can lessen these effects. And these plants are the most adept organisms at pulling the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. This is why incorporating the use of mycorrhizae to horticulture can bring us like leaps closer to a healthier environment. So one thing you can do to encourage fungi growth is including organic matter and water into your soil. And definitely limiting tillage or any disturbance into the soil is a big factor. So things you can do, start with composting. So just literally have a separate bin where you will put just your composting items, things like fruits, vegetables, eggshells. You can add tea bags, cardboard, paper, so much more, and give that a second chance at life almost. Put put that in a separate bin, let it decompose, and go ahead and add that into your garden. And you will definitely see the benefits of those decomposers like mycorrhizae and fungi just boosting the growth of your plants. So it's helping with the carbon dioxide and then also helping accelerate the growth of your plants in your garden. So the big thing is definitely just composting, adding that into your daily routine. It's something super easy, super simple, doesn't take a lot of brain power. Just go ahead and throw it away in that extra bin and then add it to your garden, and you will see those benefits. And so I hope this presentation kind of gave you a greater appreciation for the little things like fungus that do so much for our earth and for our planet. And definitely consider the benefits of doing things like composting and adding that mycorrhizae into your gardens, so that we can stop or slow the rate of global warming and climate change, because it's something that's going to affect us and many generations to come. And I hope you found something interesting. I think fungus is like, though it may seem not super interesting, it's so interesting, and the way that it works, when you really do your research into it and how it plays such a vital role in the environment, it's really interesting. So I hope you enjoyed, and yeah.